All right. Well, in the end, it's going to be Refrag to be moving along in this lower bracket, knocking out Mesos Millionaire after a 2-0 victory and a Lotus that was kind of wacky from the get-go with this Lotus comp, but Refrag really pulling through. And Athena, I just have to ask, like, real quick, where did you, in your power rankings, where did you put Refrag again?
Refrag was 4th. They were 4th, so they're up there.
Okay.
You know, they're up there.
Okay.
We just had the big
where's
three up
Refrag?
there.
Where's Refrag when Emilua is absolutely popping off? Because like she's crazy.
Okay, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even being biased because she was my former teammate, but I believe they would be top 2 if Emilua and Illuvali kept playing the way that they're playing, full aggressive, full confidence, mechanics are just like on fleek. Then hell yeah, top 2 for sure.
Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it.
I mean, some of these plays, some of these shots coming out from, I mean, especially Emilua, considering that we're looking and eyeing up if she could drop the 30, but even just the team in general, I mean, Vans, this is a team that they had the confidence, they had aggression, and it just seemed like at some points they had everything going their way.
That was definitely the name of the game at the very beginning here for that team of Refrag, where Emilua was getting first bloods after first bloods, but the aggressive pushes through smokes, just pushing forward to get frags, they were basically just outplaying their opponents every single time for the first, 6 rounds. Things finally calmed down a bit until you, again, it gets into the chaotic moments where individual players from Mesos Millionaires could pop off. So thankfully, Habibti kind of had like the 2-3K row, and then that clutch that came through from Slandy in round number 6 to actually tie it up 6-6. But then after that, you get to the other side. I mean, it was just the same story as Abyss all over again, right? Where you had one team that had full control of the game. We were a little bit complacent for Refrag when we were just trying to close the map, but I think finally when they started to iron things out and slow things down for that winning round, you saw the difference in the end. You saw the results in the end. And again, just some players, some star fraggers coming out of this team where you don't really need to think about too much in terms of the macro that they had to bring. We mentioned it was going to be a brawl for these two teams.
Yeah, I think the thing about this team, Refrag, how they're playing right now, is every single instance where they need to be a team, they do it so seamlessly. Their trading was on point in their post-hunt situations, in their retakes. It felt like they were always ready and knew what to do as a team. Even in those clutch scenarios, a lot of the time, if it was 2vx, you'd see those two players playing off of each other really, really, really well. Obviously, Emilua and Illuvali, they were going off. Emilua, big props, literally just peeking down long C, literally just holding that A push. And like you said, Vance, they were playing slow at the beginning, which we thought, of the beginning of their attack side, which we thought Mesos would do a little bit more of. And Mesos actually played right into that because they were trying to get a little bit more aggressive. They ended up giving away a lot of those kills. But yeah, that was just an insane game. I have so many notes over here, and literally 80% of them just say Emluo. So like literally like there's so many things. But again, super well polished as a team. They clutched a lot. Everyone had their own impact frags. Even Riv at some point is clutching. It's just, this team in general just goes crazy. And of course, we have to just rewatch these Emlo highlights because this aim is so crispy. It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Like, ew.
No, we're in NA right now, not EU. But nonetheless, just we're kind of like painting the picture with a broad stroke, talking about the firepower that this team has. But think about the composition in itself, right? We talked about a team like Refrag and in GC in general that a lot of players and a lot of teams have to adapt. So many of these maps and compositions that are coming out from Refrag are also role switches, right? You saw like on one round it's Millie on a Jet. This time she's playing an Omen, where I don't think we have a replay, but I'm sure the chat will remember that round where she was just dancing around, TPing away, jumping outside of the smoke, still gets a kill with a Sheriff before she dies. So like there was a bit of shenanigans, but a lot of confidence and a lot of comfort in the different roles that all of these players have to take around this roster.
I mean, it's the trust, it's the confidence, and if that's going to be what Refrag is playing with going on forward, we might have to talk about that tier list, because there could be an upset in the potential of this team
so
on
far
the
accurate
horizon
though for Athena, right? I think she's nailing it so far in the rankings in the top 4.
Let's go! Maybe it's going to be the big 4 now, not just the big 3.
Well, Dre's going to have something to say about that, right? Because he's casting next.
Oh my goodness. Well, we'll get more time to be talking about the developing tier list, but of course we need to be talking to the victorious team with our Verizon post-match interview. And for this, we get to talk to Millie. And I love that Vans was calling out one of those crazy plays that you were making, because you're popping off as well. I know a lot of us were talking about MLO, but as well, that second map especially, you're just doing so well. How is this team feeling in this lower bracket? It is do or die. The stakes are higher than ever, but you guys all seem to be kind of having fun.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun. Like, if you heard our comms, it's so chill, it's so relaxed, it's just fun all around. We're feeling really great about the lower bracket run.
I love to hear that. It's just great vibes over there in general. And I want to start talking about that second map with Lotus too, because when I look back at all the different comps that the team has used, it is all over the place, literally all over the place. And no exception going into today, where we get to see this chamber coming on out. Is that because of the vibes? It's just a confidence of like, yeah, we can just run what we want, or like the switch up all the time? What's with that?
It's just kind of like, we just kind of decide an agent select sometimes. We're just having fun with it. Like, we're like, oh, well, this might work. Or sometimes it might be more of like, whatever the other teams played more, we'll just kind of counter that. But so far, it's just kind of like what we're feeling. It's just a vibe thing.
I love that. I mean, the vibes have gotten you this far, and I want to then talk going further on in the tournament, because when we're looking at teams that are qualifying to the championships, of course, it is the situation where you have to win the entire thing. So do you envision going on forward that there might be a little bit more like, okay, they're going to lock into a comp, or you just think, hey, if the vibes are good, feeling it, we're just going to stick to what we know and just keep on going forward with the same mentality?
I think going forward, we're just going to do the same mentality, just kind of vibe. You know what we're feeling. If someone's like, hey, I want to play this today, like, so be it. Let's put them on there and just work around them.
What kind of level of trust does that take from the entire team then? Because I know that there is a core of this team with the three of you, but then bringing in two members for this GC, but then still having that trust of, hey, if someone's feeling something, just go for it. Like, has there been times where you feel like that's kind of backfired, or is it just like, stay the course?
I don't really think it's backfired at all. I mean, like, yeah, the core three, me, Kaz, and Riv have played together for a long time, so we have a lot of chemistry, but like, Emluo is a great player, very consistent. Aluvali as well, extremely consistent. It's just whatever we're feeling, like, we all have full confidence in each other, and we're just gonna keep doing that.
Great. And last but not least, I mean, something that we've been talking about looking at these teams is kind of this little tier list thing that's going around, and Refrag is right in the middle there at this 4th place. So I want to know then, looking at this team and the performance that you've been putting up through this lower bracket and through this tournament, if you think that, hey, this team should be higher, because, I mean, the mentality that you have and how everyone's showing up in the server, I definitely think that y'all should be talked about a little bit more. Y'all popping off.
Yeah, I do definitely think we should be a little bit higher. I'm just confident that as long as we play our game and we just keep doing what we do, having fun, like, we'll probably win out, you know? Well, maybe not fully, but we'll try.
Nah, stick to your guns. I like that. That's what I want to be hearing out here. Really, thank you so much for chatting with me. Congratulations on this win, and best of luck continuing on with this lower bracket run, okay?
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What a great way to be starting off the day 3 of competition here, being able to see Refrag continue on this lower bracket run. But we do still have another match on the horizon. It's going to be YFP going up against Oomfies after the break.
And if you're wondering why I move the way I do, I just feel so good, good. I just feel so good, good. I just feel so good.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VCT Verizon Game Changers. One lower bracket match done for the day, with Refrag moving on and unfortunately eliminating Mesos Millionaires. And we have another potential heartbreak ahead of us, as well as we're sticking along here in the lower bracket. Athena, up next, we have YFP going up against Oomfies. And this is sad. It's a say goodbye to two different teams here in the main event sort of day.
Yeah,
I thought you said it was going to be a fun day today.
No.
Now suddenly everybody's sad again.
It is
Yeah,
fun.
I'm sad
Listen, it is fun. The reason it's fun is because all these teams are playing their hearts out, and I feel like we're genuinely seeing if someone's, pushed to their limit, what they can kind of put out there. We saw Mesos almost coming back. We saw them show us a lot of these good clutches. A lot of the players did what they had to do in order to win a lot of these rounds. It just came down, unfortunately, to kind of two players going crazy, but also the whole team fully understanding what they needed to go over to win. So it is fun to watch for me. It is a little bit sad, but more fun.
I mean, going a little crazy, I think, might be like the understatement of the century, considering what happened. But that was last series, and we need to start gearing up for the series that we have ahead of us. Oomfies going up against YFP. And let's talk about Oomfies first, which, hilarious name, by the way. I just want to give like a solid round of applause to whoever thought of that one, because it just sounds so goofy to say every time. But this team, as silly as the name is, has some absolute powerhouses here, Vance. I mean, I'm looking at these names and it's like, oh yeah, I recognize these, and yeah, it's Oomfies for the other side in the most cases here.
Yeah, and I even see an addition of Panini playing today as well. So this is still going to be a team that has a lot of firepower. And you're looking at Avery, I think, is one player that I think about a lot in the GC scene when they were playing with the Supernova Galaxy roster over to the Floppers, now onto Oomfies, and also, have a lot of skills going into this to this event. But overall, it's just a team that has, into the main events or into the qualifiers, hit some brick walls every single time where they can't really surpass that yet. So hopefully they're going to be able to do it here in the lower brackets of the last chance that they have here to make it into Berlin. But I think, again, it's going to be the same storyline as other teams that are like, I wouldn't necessarily say bugging it, but really coming up with new rosters every single time. So you kind of just have to think on the fly and rely a lot on individual skill, which, again, is a team that fully has it for Oomfies.
I feel like it's kind of similar to Mesos when we were talking about earlier, where they have so many of these standout players that have played in Game Changers for such a long time. They've been prominent in the scene. They've been at some of the highest ranks of Game Changers, and they just come and form this team. And so the chemistry, that is where the most important part is. And a lot of that does rely on being able to practice. And a lot of these teams don't get to practice that much because of other duties. So overall, looking really, really good as a roster. The only thing is that it's felt like they haven't fully found their spot. And for me, I always wonder, is it because that they have so many of these substitutions going around? It feels like they're almost playing with this 6-player roster where they're constantly subbing in and out per match, depending on who's kind of thinking about it. But I don't know, I think it might be a little bit of a detriment to them, but at the same time, everyone is so good individually skilled in their own way.
Hey, I'm thinking of, if you're thinking that maybe not being able to practice as much is an issue for the teams, then maybe the lower bracket run is this blessing in disguise. More opportunities to get more and more of these reps, really be able to come together for a team. And we talked about the individual prowess on the team, and someone that we have to talk about is Avery, because looking back at the matches, Avery has just been the pinnacle of just consistency here, Athena. And I think too, when you're looking at teams that are coming together, switching players, having that consistency is so important.
100%. And Avery is actually their controller and sometimes flexes as the Senti player for Oomfies, and being able to have a scoreline like this where it's actually one of the top 10 scorelines within all GC main event that's happening right now. So Avery's actually popping off and carrying a lot of this team's weight on their shoulders, and they're doing it all as a controller, which isn't very often. Usually your controller isn't necessarily top fragging or being the full potential for a team. They are in a lot of these clutch situations, and Avery seems to be really, really on top of it. So a lot of props to Avery for that. And Oomfies, that's going to be something that they're going to have to rely on if they can find the rock and the kind of sustainability from Avery to come into it.
You mentioned there was sharing responsibilities as well, from playing different agents, from a Clove to a Deadlock to sometimes an Astra. I even think sometimes a Viper if they go on to Bind. And that responsibility is also split between them and Carrie, who is the IGL here for the team. So when you're looking back at this roster, it kind of almost feels like, you know, the vibey thing. What are we feeling in terms of the map that we want to play? What is our comfort pick, our comfort role? So hopefully they are able to get a good map ban process against our opponents that could put them into a comfortable spot where it's going to be, this is going to be our stronghold, this is going to be our good maps. We might slip into one of the opponent's strong maps, which is YFP, but if not, technically, you're hoping that the decider is going to come back on your side and you can just use your firepower to win this.
And let's start talking about their opponents for today's match and move along here with this lower bracket, because looking at YFP, they're a team that going on into this, one of the 9 teams that you're looking at favorites that could be going for these sort of upset runs, and this is the top of the list. They're here in this lower bracket, but Vans, when you're looking at a team that can be getting these upsets and can make these runs, YFP's right there.
Yeah, at the end of the day, if I'm thinking of game changers very similar to what Challengers was like, is I see YFP and Refrag as like the TSM / Turtle Troop that were technically the gatekeepers of Challengers, and then potentially it could go into a deep run. When you have one of these tournaments where it comes to time to show up and fight, you could actually have that deep run and come back into the lower brackets just like TSM did. So I could feel that right now from a team like YFPX, and I could feel that from a team like Refrag. And you already saw it from the roster we just saw. You have players like Scary Shark, who's always been a late addition to certain rosters, but always been a great addition and adds that extra firepower, where sometimes where the protocols don't work out in terms of how you want to approach the map, well, you got hero plays.
And something that we've talked about a lot with YFP, and even just throughout Game Changers, is the big 3, with YFP being the 3rd on that list. So, Athena, I want you to be able to reintroduce your power rankings list looking at this YFP, because if we're talking about a team that can upset and maybe try and steal a spot away to Berlin, well, there's YFP right there.
All right, YFP rhymes with big 3, and there's a reason why, because they have been phenomenal. They have upset FlyQuest in the past. They have taken maps off Shopify now twice in a row when they're facing them, with or without Fluorescent, by the way. So YFP, they've really made a name for themselves. They are definitely coming in hot, and today they're facing Oomfies, which we successfully put at 5th. I know you weren't here, Vansilly, but it was me and Baby Bay. And so far, we're at 100% success rate. We had Elation Vortex and Teddy Tactics being the first in the lower bracket to kind of fall, unfortunately. And Mesos, we just saw them drop. And now Oomfies, they're next on that list. I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm thinking that we're going for gold.
I think you guys are 100% so far, because even putting Teddy Tactics at 7, because we saw it from their lower bracket match, they didn't win a main event yet, but they won 1 map, so that's already improvement there. Where you think about recency bias, you haven't had a chance to really see a team like Elation Vortex play in the past GC, so it's kind of like normal. You want to put them a little bit lower, understanding what the rest of the rankings were at and who you have playing for these teams going up that ladder. So I think you guys did a good job. I just think that maybe it doesn't really rhyme YFP with Big 3 because there's an X at the end. So hopefully they don't X out this matchup, though.
Oh my god, did you just say that? No. Okay, the X stands for when you're on the minimap and you gotta kill someone and then they're an X there. You know what I'm saying? That's
It could also be your own body in the fight.
What are we going on about, y'all? What's going on? All right,
it's a mystery, just like the X-Files.
Let's circle this back around talking about YFP, because power rankings, y'all are geniuses so far. But for YFP, and of course, when we're talking about the championships in Berlin, YFP, if they're in 3rd, that's not going to be making the cut. They have the upset potential here, and up against Shopify at the end, they did get the first map.
I mean, we saw something similar last year where EG just kind of came out of nowhere and made it all the way through and came first place, beating Shopify just when they needed to the most. And so I think for YFP, if one of these teams were able to do it, since they're not really in the running for the points, I think YFP is a team to do it. They've been so dominant every single time they've played. They've been extremely confident and extremely aggressive. They look really, really good as a team. They've had enough time to practice together. Obviously, they have the ability to play a lot during the day, at night, whenever it is. And they're just, in general, been showing so much skill and such a high skill ceiling.
I just love that you brought up EG as well, because as a joke, or maybe somewhat serious here for YFP as well, they've been knocking on EG's door the whole time, going with tweets and even using the EG banners going into the matches. So the job's not done yet for them. For them, a top 4, whatever, it's not going to be a success story for YFP. They want to win this event. They want to make it to Berlin so that they could actually get an opportunity to potentially get that signature there with EG.
And so for YFP now, with this lower bracket run, as we talk about our map picks and bans, I'm looking for a strong victory here, and I mean the same going on forward. If this is a team that can truly contest this FlyQuest and Shopify Rebellion roster, I don't think close matches are necessarily going to have to be able to cut it at this point. Kicking off the series as well, it's going to be on Ascent, something that's been a little bit of a pain point for them, Athena.
Yeah, I feel like this is definitely a fun pick. I think for Oomfies it makes sense because they've had an 80% success rate with this map. I feel like maybe against YFP it's a little bit scary, but they have played in the past this double sentinel comp, and I feel like if you're playing against a team as aggressive as YFP, someone who's so hungry to take this map space, then that setup might actually work. That comp might work because you have so much delay, you have so much information with your trips, with the wall, with the deadlock and the cipher going in. So I think if they do play that comp, it might work in their favor, and definitely staying on their home ground map is really good, their comfort pick. But again, YFP, they've just been so dominant. I don't really have any guesses for this one.
I think that Oomfies actually did a great job in the map veto process right here, because banning Haven against YFP, who got that map against Shopify Rebellion in the latest matchup, is a great thing to take away. Yes, they lost their game yesterday against Elation Vortex on Ascent, but if you actually watch that game, they still had great first blood opportunities, just unfortunately couldn't hold in post plan. So if they clean that up, it's going to look really good against YFP. You might let Icebox slip because you've never seen that map before from a team like Oomfies, but then you could pull out the shenanigans on Vine.
Oh, we're gonna pull out shenanigans right now, actually. So YFP took a pretty harsh loss. So they had default comp before. So Athena, they're 180 in here, and I love it.
I mean, the Yoru, the deadlock, the cipher, this is awesome. I love the double senti from both of these teams, but the Yoru goes kind of crazy. We've seen Marceline be really good. No, we've seen them be really good at being super aggressive, but I think what Marceline does as Yoru is use the util in a really good informative manner to be able to relay information and take a lot of the space for the team and be more of a playmaker rather than like a space maker. And I feel like that's something that Marceline would excel at. But I mean, Oomfies have been playing with this comp for a long time, and so this double senti might work out really well for them.
I switched it up a little bit for today from usual. It'll be switch up. We'll be bringing out the Astra. It'll be someone else playing that deadlock, but still something that's super comfortable. So that'll be fun to see going up against this YFP that's throwing everything at the wall. This will be a fun series, so we're gonna get underway. And for that, head over to our casters, Doug and Baby Bay, for Ascent.
Dr. Dre.
Why do you even say
Dr.
yeah?
Dre? Is that what he
regrettably,
just said?
yeah,
Wow,
he kind of did. You know, I had like an intro and I was going to talk about Oomfies and the Yoru pick and all that stuff, but naturally Vance just kind of gets the final word. Dre, talk to me about the Yoru pick. As the desk mentioned, a far cry difference from what we saw the last time they played this map.
Yeah, a completely different composition they've never ran before. I mean, I guess they're just trying to take some inspiration of the shellacking that they got from Shopify themselves on this composition. So maybe they were just like, yo, this comp is cooking. Did a VOD review of their game, and maybe they're going into this match with a game plan that looks much like Shopify's. We'll find out.
That's tough though, man, because sometimes you'll see teams try to replicate a comp after they've been beat by it, and it just because you try to replicate the comp doesn't necessarily mean it works the same way. Yeah, it seems like we have a tech pause right off the bat. We're getting very good at these tech pauses, unfortunately, and I wish we weren't, Dre.
I know. Why does this keep happening to us? But just to talk about the other side and the other change that was made, Oomfies, they played against Elation, lost 13-6. And Clove is a character that they've ran a lot on Ascent. So going back to what basically got them to win when I was on the analyst desk, when they played up against Refrag, it's the Astra pick, and basically what happened was their post plants were immaculate. So I think YFP are gonna have to go into this of, you know, trying to disrupt, which I think you could do very well with the Yoru of your own, and then also, you know, having that deadlock cipher kind of makes it hard for the attacking side to bust through the site. That being said, though, there's still gonna be that jet, so you could still updraft, do some shenanigans there, but we'll see. I think honestly, on paper, YFP should take this because historically YFP has taken out Oomfies. Keep in mind, rosters be changing all the time here at GC, but
as they
still, yeah, the cores seem to be the consistent part, and they've consistently beaten Oomfies throughout the year, 2-0 in BO3. So,
well, and also, I mean, to go back to what is becoming the word of truth, you're in Athena's power rankings. If that is to remain, they've got to get through this as well. So we'll see how that plays out. You know, you were talking a little bit about the difficulties of this double Senti comp on defense and how on the attack side it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Oomfies, but maybe given the jet they can find a little bit more space. I mean, as if getting space on the attack side of Ascent isn't hard enough already.
Right.
It's going to be so much more difficult now.
No flash. You just have to rely on the deadlock nade and the Sova drone or dart.
And speaking of the Sova dart, already invested towards the middle of the map. Meanwhile, Corrupt is taking a little bit of space off of B main. The camera setup there is so gorgeous, bro. So Cam gets contact, Paranoia comes out. They're cooked.
And even this horizontal trip here, it's in such a weird spot. It does get found out, fished out, but
there it is.
Yeah, it's a B main response here, and now you don't have to worry about that for the rest of the round.
Nope. The camera caught a little bit of vision, immediately invested the Paranoia and swung up, presumably to take the fight, but it wasn't there, so you put your wall up and you walk away.
Yeah, the protocol so far for YFP on this defensive side, it's looking really nice. The one-ways on Cat just cycling, and it's up to Pande, who had a hell of a day yesterday, dropping bombs.
Careful.
Yeah.
He's getting caught. Scare Shark was making a lot of noise, but it seems like the aggression was immediately turned the other way. As the kills traded right back, Market is available, and B should be up for the taking, if not for the line that just continues to hold. Dude, this, I mean, the Des talked about it, you talked about it. This double Sentinel comp is going to be a miserable thing to get through.
And it's something that we saw a lot of teams struggle with, especially on the defensive side. Sometimes when you run this composition, it kind of makes you feel like, okay, it's impossible to break through, but you still need the protocols behind it. And we saw so many in that last round. We saw a response of if there's cat or mid being taken, that we're going to take B main control on the defensive side. We're going to cycle one ways on catwalk, and then we're going to double swing you mid. And without having to worry about B main at all, Corrupt was able to get one of the biggest grav nets in market that I think I've ever seen. I think 4 members got hit by that.
And the poor Super Cat was just sitting there, had nowhere to go, was just kind of caught, and took all the wind out of their sails. And, I mean, we're still full steam ahead for YFP. This seems like, you know, maybe you drop one along the way, but this is about as close to perfect as you could possibly ask for.
Yeah, and then Marceline already popping off. Swinging cat from bottom mid with that outlaw. What was that? Okay.
There's always one.
Yeah, but to hit those type of shots with just the classic is very impressive. I mean, she's going to end up dropping to Corrupt, who picked up another 3, building really close to that deadlock ultimate. But
just 2 away. Yeah,
exactly. But the Yoru on this map on the defensive side, it can give you so much more confidence in the jet because you know that you can TP out of dodge whenever you want. Look at that. And you could essentially be in 2 places at once, whereas with the jet, you know, you kind of have to guess. You have to pre-pop your dash. On the Yoru, you don't have to worry about any of that. Just place your TP down in the beginning of the round and good swing.
Right. Yeah. Just so much easier. You're absolutely right. You start to look at, again, some of this defensive setup from the double Sentinel comp. Deadlock util towards A, Cypher util towards B, and the middle of the map. And the map just feels really small in a situation like this, man.
Where do you go? You know, you kind of have to bide your time, fish out what the setup is. That's what that Cypher cam is doing. The Super Cat not ready for the off angle of Corrupt, Doug.
No, that felt more like just an off angle. That was the setup from the very beginning, and they just punished on that. A really good trade, a great response from Avery onto Scary Shark. But again, okay, you've gotten 1 pick. Yes, you took care of the controller, so you don't really have to deal with smokes anymore. The utility from the Sentinels is the problem. Well, that helps.
And apparently the entries from the Sentinels as well.
Yeah.
looking sharp right now in the server, but it's such a slow approach to the round. And this is kind of how you have to play against the double Senti.
Yeah.
Like I said, the problem is, Oomfies, they haven't really fished out a lot of these trips. You know, we still have both Cypher trips up. There's still the Deadlock trip on Cat that's going to stun multiple different players that are going to run up here.
Standing ahead.
Oh, hear the dart soaring across. But again, they don't have main. They have surely they know they don't have main. They don't know they don't have main. And now the ult's been used. And it's been tagged. A kill comes through. Again, Corrupt has been invaluable to YFP so far. Think about the pistol and the grab net that you mentioned, and then here too.
Absolutely cooked. And what's going on is it's this deadlock wall that's being thrown at like the perfect timing for Corrupt to just isolate whatever angle. Yeah, pistol round, it was B main now is isolated, being able to focus fully on market. This time around, having all that A main space and just focusing on the split from Cat. Oh my goodness. And that ultimate bouncing off the wall, that's perfect. It's beautifully done.
Yep.
9-0.
Time to jump.
A brutal start for Oomfies. Maybe a turn of the tides here soon off of Thrifty, something like that. These are often the rounds that get away from you. I mean, how many times have you and I seen, you know, it's a 3-0, they bonus, they're back on ecos, and then something kind of comes together. So this round is far from safe.
Very true, especially with the mechanical skill here in GC, I swear. I've seen some nasty shots being hit all week long. And it's still going to be slow approach in mid here for Oomfies, just trying to see if any mistake will be given to them. But the outlaw, I mean,
Yeah.
running into that gun was the true mistake.
And Marceline even had a TP. Oh my goodness.
I'm so sorry,
Okay.
that was filthy.
That needs to make it into the B-roll. I know production's listening.
Yep.
We're gonna need to see that one back because that was just so clean.
It was so fast and precise.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Just running it down. Panday couldn't even get one into the round. Corrupt is still on this bender of a game. I still think 0 deaths
Yeah,
for
I don't
Corrupt.
think they died yet. Yep.
Yeah, they haven't died. And Marceline with the outlaw just absolutely abusing the light armor. Oh my goodness, it just looks so good right now for the defensive side.
It's just almost like machine-like in a way. That's tough. We got an op online from Marceline, had the outlaw. We mentioned it in the previous round. Now a little bit more oomph behind the gun.
Did you even need any more? I mean,
yeah. A little bit. But they still got a tag. Wow, I thought the dart was even a little bit late.
forget the tag. You get an op kill in top mid. That's the spike being dropped as well. I'm not sure if side of YFP are aware. Even so, if they are, doesn't even matter because Marceline's just taking everybody out in mid, re-swinging. Oh my goodness, Doug.
Dude, they're teeing off. This is quickly getting out of hand.
This is insane.
And this is Oomfies' map pick. And, you know, we talk about map picks and, you know, they're often traded and blah, blah, blah. At this level of competition, especially on a map like Ascent, you expect teams to be able to play this map. So I feel like map pick doesn't necessarily matter as much, but this has been a clinic.
And it's the swagger that YFP has brung into the server from the pistol round. I mean, Corrupt just now falling for the first time. But Marceline has been so aggressive, especially around mid. I'm so surprised that we didn't see Oomfies use a little bit more utility or a little bit more investment to try to push the offer off the line. Something to be looking out for in the future rounds. But at this point of the game, it just kind of feels like you're just getting snowballed out of control and you can't really work anything.
They're about to walk into the op again. In case he hadn't had enough, another kill found.
Insane.
They just make it look easy.
Just teeing off.
And so look, you just cleared out the trip. You still have a grab net you're gonna have to deal with.
and then on the other side of the
from
map,
the one way.
Yeah. And then if you look at the other side of the map, there's still 2 trips there for the players that are anchoring A. So there's just no worry in the world.
It'll be interesting to see how they execute this comp on attack, but good night, bro.
Yeah.
This is bad.
Yeah, the key difference for the Yoru is at least you have some flashes that you can maybe entry in with, but with no flashes here, you kind of just have to face check everything, and you're just going to get spammed through a cage. Now you're getting spammed through a smoke.
Oh,
okay.
Unlucky.
That didn't hit the mark at all, but you know,
Nope,
it's just for aesthetic
off.
reasons. I mean,
Creative
listen.
idea.
Yeah, I've never seen the wall up there before from Deadlock. I'm glad I did.
Yeah, it's obviously to stop shock darts from coming through. It's the tech.
Facts, brother.
Corrupt still holding the line. And is that going to be... That's a second investment of the ult. Oh, it's going to get another, isn't it? Oh, my goodness. That's the second flawless round we've had this half. We almost had 3. They were 1 kill away from having 3. And if that goes through, think about this. Half of the rounds, that they won have been in flawless fashion.
It just looks like YFP were like, you know what? Our win streak may have been lost, but we're mad about it. You know? They've come into the server with a different type of fire. This is just a one-sided affair, to say the least. I mean, what else can we say? Corrupt and Marceline are now sitting at 26 kills collectively. I mean, that's just insanity.
26 kills amongst 2 players.
In 6 rounds.
Oh, that's a great opener. Forget about dealing with utility and how do we get the trips down and whatever. Just full acceleration, and it works so far. They've gotten out onto the site. This is the best start they've had.
We'll see, though. Marceline is still up and alive right now, and Corrupt is as well. Those heavy hitters we were mentioning earlier. Here's the entry. Uh-oh.
Avery has fallen. Supercat repositioning with Odin in hand. Numbers the way of the attack, though. And again, this is the most successful round they've had so far. They've gotten the spike down. They're just digging their heels in. What does the defense have to take some of this back? There's still a couple of flashes. There's one. Off the turn. The clone. Patience. Trigger. Discipline. But they're falling apart again. It's going to have to be Supercat and just 1 target short. That's tough.
Oomfies, they did this strat 2 days ago with this Astra. They do the Astra while sideways, and they were still able to get into the site today, but that retake was magnificent. I mean, using the clone to bait out that Cypher trip, it was just wonderful. The Yoru flash as well. It just looks so coordinated, which is so hard to do when you're just playing a comp for the first time in a match as a unit.
I mean, I don't know if they've been just like repping this comp ever since that loss.
Right? Yeah. Who knows?
But you're right. I mean, 28 kills between Corrupt and Marceline, and yeah, you guys. I don't want to do the math for you guys, but it's very lopsided. The way of YFP here.
Oh, then you can't even speed up into here because that deadlock wall, Omen flash as well, and Corrupt gets another spam kill through the smoke.
Dude, that's the tough thing about... So the success that they found in the previous round, well, you're right, was because they were able to accelerate and kind of catch them off guard. That's only going to work 1 or 2 times. And if it didn't net you a round win in the previous round, when it was so successful, you still weren't able to get a round win. I don't know what else they can do here.
I'm not sure. I mean, I like the slow approach, though. I just think there needs to be a better job done of trying to isolate these trips and breaking them in the first, like, I don't know, 30 seconds of your default. Whether that happens in mid or B main. I feel like that has to be the main source of focus if you're Oomfies, to just relieve a lot of the pressure of what happens when you're actually going for the site exec.
Right, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
They just haven't... I mean, admittedly, it hasn't seemed like they've tried a ton, but also the efforts that they have made at what you were just mentioning, have been kind of stifled from the very beginning. They might get around this time. They're fully split apart. Scary Shark's on the other side of the map. No TP to join. A lot in the lap of Elaborate here.
100%. Elaborate sitting in the back site. There's only 10 seconds left. This could work. It'd be something very positive, but what is that?
That's tough. Hang on. Scary Shark TP through. They were expecting it. There was a window there where Scary Shark may have had a timing, given the fact that the deadlock wall was still up and maybe they get past it, but well handled by Carry.
Yeah. Carry with the deadlock ultimate backside, just not wanting to deal with any of that. That was actually super smart, a super intelligent play, because that's really the only spot that I was even shouting that could kind of put a dent into that round. Basically, what happened in this round is YFP are just too overconfident. You already up numbers, but we're just swinging because, you know, I mean, why not? It's worked before. You know, 2 of your players have been absolutely destroying the server, but you got to keep in mind the other players aren't warmed up yet. You know, we have We have Scary Shark for Elia and Elaborate. We haven't really gotten much action at all.
No. That's often the Achilles heel in stomps like this, isn't it? Yeah, it's been working. Just keep swinging. Then all of a sudden, you leave a window open and you've got a fight on your hands.
Portal closed.
Marceline did a good job of tucking away from that drone, but something tells me that Oomfies are aware of where she is. A lot of jump spotting happening in mid. That should be the cue for Oomfies to understand that the op hasn't rotated yet.
With that trip, okay, I was about to say, with that trip still up, you don't really have anything to make him think about. But well handled by the Cypher there, clearing that trip out, applying a little bit of pressure across the middle of the map, or at least that's the intent. Now, whether or not YFP respond to that is a different matter entirely. It does seem like Corrupt is headed that way.
The response was a one-way in market, and now it's going to be the ace split from Oomfies. Marceline can't get out of dodge, but still gets one.
Again, a lot of pressure this time on Scary Shark. The solo anchor on the side is Corrupt is starting to rotate over. Scary Shark does a little bit of damage, tries to stay alive, gets one, but does ultimately fall. Now help arriving. Corrupt getting one, the op in hand. As the smoke goes up, not going to connect. Off the swing, the Vandal cannot connect either. A 2v2 now with the spike planted.
There's a cage still in play, 2 shock darts as well. But on the flip side, Terror has that Sova ultimatum online. Oh, here it is.
I'm going to say, it didn't seem like it was planned for him. Terror uses the first, pops it. Now the second coming through, fully clearing out that there's no one there. This angle's really tough, though. Avery's going to have to push forward. It's already gotten to half. The spam coming through. It's a 1-for-1, and they both fall as Oomfies gets their second.
Oomfies is so good amongst the chaos when they slow things down and they're able to actually bide their time and wait for players to swing into them. And the entry was great. The trade was awesome. And this shot was, I mean, had me out of my seat. I'm not even lying. That was an insane shot from Nora.
Yeah.
But Oomfies in these moments when the dust finally settles, they're coming out on top. And it's because YFP are kind of just, it's again that overconfidence and over-eagerness to kind of just get the job done. Will be a dart in mid to try to ward off that operator, but we've seen this on the bonus rounds before. Terror gets tagged down by that op. Ooh.
5 HP. Light armor on Marceline. Worth mentioning. If they try to push up towards Cat, they still have a sound. Well, never mind.
They had.
Never mind.
They had.
Give me a call.
All right, Trey, what's happening here that's different? Because Oomfies are finding success now in some of the beginnings of these rounds that they were not finding before. Is it that Marceline is not hitting the shots that we were seeing at the beginning of the half? Or, I mean, what's the adjustment?
Well, not only is Marceline not actually hitting the target like perfectly, obviously, you know, there was a tag into that round, but it's the spacing that's different from Oomfies, getting the trades. As I say that, Carry does get taken out, but the rest of the players on the actual site, watching their back, watching it, everything.
Out of charges.
What are you going to do with that? No shock darts to play with. Just a threat, a wish for what could have been.
This trip, heaven. So unique. I mean, it doesn't even come down to that because Supercat just takes the swing, but you're feeling the momentum shift right now. Supercat takes out Elaborate as well. 3 into the round. Yeah, that first entry was through the smoke, but it's been the spacing that has been the key difference. When you're playing up against a Yoru, if you give enough time and you don't get the trade quick enough, that's when that TP can come out. But there still is a window for when you swing at Yoru where, you know, it's not instantaneous. You can get punished.
Tough scenes here, but it does seem like things are turning, at least for the side of Oomfies. For the first time this entire half, we've seen YFP on this broken bye.
It's kind of crazy how things can snowball in this game. And now Marceline. Wow, I was going to say she almost got her head taken off, but it's actually her getting the 1-up with the Sheriff. And now that kind of forces Oomfies to have to like run up towards A. You kind of want to speed up, try to get an answer somewhere else.
Okay.
Again?
Or you just spam through a cage and put a bullet between Elaborate's eyes. The dash forward and now a little messy. But it seems like the ecos might be the difference maker here. Corrupt with 2 massive kills. It's all onto just 1 member left. A little bit of utility, sure, but the spike not in hand.
This is going to be such a hard round for Carry to take away from YFP, especially with all those upgrades across the board.
I mean, even if you catch one kind of off guard, you still have the other 2 you're going to have to deal with. A thrifty round to stop some of the bleeding for YFP.
And if there's ever a time to be swinging stuff and overconfident in your play, it is on those eco rounds. Especially when you have the pop-off moments that we're seeing, because it was, once again, Marceline to start things off and Corrupt to basically, you know, put the nail in the coffin in Oomfies there. Corrupt hit some crazy flicks on Cat and A main when that split was actually coming through. And I got to shout out Super Cat as well, who's been doing a great job of getting these entries. Yeah, it's a little bit of RNG, you know, some shots through smoke, but, I mean, nevertheless.
Right, a kill's a kill. Yeah. The drone through, clearing out wine wisely, and now blades to play with. Final round of the half here too. Nothing to leave uninvested.
How much utility right now is sitting on that B site. At the Cypher Cam, you have deep B main trap. But all that allows for YFP to play 3 towards this A site. Oomfies, they need to be careful on this execute.
Carries the first to fall. The dash too. An attempt at trying to find a little bit of space. No way. The cage just saved Marceline's life. What? You never see that work that way.
The clone blocks the headshot.
That's unreal.
Trick shots.
1 kill found, 3 left to go.
Yeah, this clutch would be unreal, Doug. To bring it to 8-4. All the members, all the members of Oomfies are just praying right now for Panday to clutch this.
Here's the tough thing too: is I love this play, but again, when you're in a 1v3 like this, you still don't get as much mileage out of it as you would have otherwise. Right, like cutting noise and then trying to re-hit A again. But there's not there are way too many guns pointing your way to really be able to pull this off. Yeah. Spike's down.
1 trip hasn't been put down yet. Oh,
they're gonna. What are they doing here? They're being really diligent and really careful about this. There's the first to fall. Off of the tap. Scary Shark cleans up the round. You know, for a second there, I thought there was going to be an attempt at a knife or something else. A little bit more disrespectful, but either way, the round comes through for YFP. Yeah, they dropped a couple of rounds here, kind of stuttered through the middle of the half, but dominant, really, from top to bottom.
Yeah, and honestly, the only rounds that were really given away for YFP was when they were just too overconfident, taking too many swings when already up numbers. And these are just, you know, mistakes that are made when you're just really feeling the flow, you're really vibing.
Yeah.
And it's something that you do need to be careful of going on this attacking side, though, because now you have to deal with the same thing that you just did to the other squad, right? You have to deal with the double senti setups and trying to bust through the chokes. And if you're a little bit too aggressive here, and Marceline maybe is left on an island because of all that utility, you don't do your due diligence, all of a sudden you are now the one getting snowballed. That's how this Ascent map has just been working, especially when you're running the double senti on the defensive side.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see what it looks like on attack now. You mentioned the flashes, something that Oomfies was desperately lacking. We'll see how they invested here. A little bit of space taken from Scary Shark towards B main, still having to wait out those walls. It seems like this is going to end in a B split. But they have to wait for that deadlock wall to go through before they go anywhere.
Yeah, Scary Shark's not going to be able to help the rest of the squad at all, but that's a really cool wall to cut off the A rotate. That is so cool.
And it was, you remember, Scary Shark was able to TP past it in the first half because they invested the same thing, but you don't have that luxury this time around. Avery had a meal there and spilled it all over the place.
Just absolutely overwhelmed. Too many targets to look at, but Panday anchored.
Slow and steady on those shots. Getting a couple kills. Finally trading back. Super Cat with the dash. Proct. Lets it expire. slowly drops down, getting the best of Corrupt. Not much more can be found though. Scary Shark with a classic and light armor. Meanwhile, Terror with 49 HP, position given away, target found, and the double dink from Terror. That's a round for Oomfies.
Wow, what confidence from Terror, sitting at half HP, understanding that there's still paranoia in play. Had she played on site, double box, Jen, you're surely going to get paranoid. Just taking the fight straight there onto the catwalk. That was insane, but it was Panda who was honestly, it was what you said. So poised, controlled in that moment. Not spamming the ghost like her teammate at Switch, you know, like Avery. Super unfortunate for Avery, but you know, that happens to the best of us.
A little early spam on both sides, and again the grab net from Corrupt.
Nasty little really set nice play utility. Right there. That was all set off of the cam. And now all of a sudden for the rest of this half for Oomfies on this defensive side, they're gonna have to be worried about that set play happening again.
Wine, they have to be careful. Avery has to be careful. Wine, oh, gets away with both.
That's just
very
not
nicely
fair.
handled. No,
that's just so silly, Doug. The stinger is insane. Avery is paranoid though. Still gets another.
Yeah, but you imagine these last couple of pistols will just kind of fade away. Well, Scary Shark had upgraded to a stinger, and then puts it right back down, leaving the rest of the hopes and dreams of this round in the 4 HP of Elaborate.
Yeah, and with the Cypher cam, 2 trips on site, you imagine that this is going to be cleaned up very quickly. You're sitting at 4 HP. As soon as the Cypher cam makes contact, it will be a wide swing. But at least you could fish out what some of the Cypher setup and the Cypher trips look like for future rounds.
Oh, recon?
Exactly.
Yep.
So it's not the cleanest of anti-ecos for Oomfies, but honestly, considering how the pistol round went for Avery, this was a great response to get some confidence back in your favor.
Yeah. Again, Avery getting both there in Wine. There was so much misdirection that was thrown in that round. They had thrown the deadlock wall deep towards B main after they had 2 people posted up in Wine towards A to suggest that there may be a bit of hit towards B, but whatever you want to call it, the game sense, the intuition, the reading tarot card, whatever it was, like it worked, and she was able to get both in Wine. That was huge.
It was actually insane. Supercat is getting a little bit aggressive, but the dash is popped this time, so if that grab net was to be thrown earlier.
Dude, that is a LAN angle, and that's not work the same way. That is tough. The wall goes through, but bullets from Parsley hit a little bit harder. Off of the swing, flashed up, couldn't see a thing. Terror's dead.
And right now, right now, Doug, you're seeing the inexperience of playing against that Yoru. It's just something that you just don't play against every day. I mean, apart from, if you've played against Shopify, you have a little bit of experience, but even in scrims, people don't really run this composition often, or even Yoru that often in general. So you're seeing people get distracted by the clone. Should I shoot it? Should I not?
Yep.
It's a never-ending battle within your own mind.
Yeah, and people go like, well, just don't shoot the clone, whatever. It's not that difficult. But it reminds me of when EG was running Sova on Fracture. They're like, just shoot the dart. It's not like you've never seen a dart before, but you're just not used to that on a map like that. And I think what we're seeing here is very similar to that, Dre. I think you're absolutely 100%. Right.
And you also don't want to be that one person that gets like clowned on by the fake Yoru clone. Yeah. I don't think I've seen it yet in official.
I don't think
in any official. I'm sure it has happened somewhere at least once, but you don't want that to happen to you when all the lights are on you. You might as well just shoot that clone.
Better. It's just better that way. Yep.
But you're seeing the power of the Yoru versus the Jet here on the attacking side. The Yoru is able to basically hunt out a lot of the trips that are placed for the defense, and you have flashes to follow up as well to just support your own self getting into the site and entering. It's a really unique composition that is ran on this map.
Interesting setup right at the beginning. A Shark Dart traded for a trip. Still 2 sensors towards B though.
this double trip setup here. Art will secure the info.
This is the exact same wall they threw a couple of rounds ago when they ended up being saved by Avery. We'll see if it turns out the same way. They're getting out onto B here. It's just Terror backside.
It's gonna be so hard to do anything here, but 1-for-1 is great, all things considered. I mean, that could have been a free bomb site, to say the least.
So now with all the space that they have, utility going down, and you imagine the spike will follow in just a moment. What do Oomfies have to get back into this? They don't have any ults. Handy's one off. But still, a tough situation to be in, and those swings like that are going to be tough. They're not going to help the situation at all.
And as if Marceline wasn't enough, there's the Hunter's Fury coming out as well from outside of B main. So many different layers to this approach in that round. It was honestly very, very beautiful. I'm very impressed with YFP incorporating a new composition like this.
It
so
doesn't
quickly.
seem like it. You wouldn't think that it's new.
It looks like they, it looks like they have tons of reps. You're correct. I mean, the clone that breaks both the deadlock trips in B main. So much value with the Yoru so far.
And I'm sure there may be some holes that you can kind of poke if you dig real deep. But yeah, again, I think the big takeaway is, yes, Corrupt and Marceline are playing exceptionally well. But for them to implement a new comp like this and to run it to this success, this level of success is really impressive.
It's scary, Doug. We
Right,
talk about the
gonna
victory for a reason. What?
This Gravenot's going to buy a little bit of time, but they still have enough players that have gone through. And there's just not really enough as far as gunpowder goes on the other side. And Sheriffs, there was one Guardian. That's not sitting on the ground.
My territory.
This is tough, Dre. I don't... And that's going to connect to just when it seems like they kind of have them figured out and it can't possibly get any worse. You see things like that.
They're done.
Yeah. It's just so hard to retake against this composition once they're able to get all on site and set up. I mean, you've got attack deadlock trips at every choke that you want to retake from. And even if you flank, I mean, look at the paranoia protocol. I mean, the cam also. Just so much info. Once the post plan is actually set up, elaborate. Was able to set that up. Yeah, sitting only at 6 kills, but I mean, just enabling everybody else on the team to just pop off.
And honestly, when you have two teammates that are flirting with 30, there are just only so many kills to go around, you know?
Literally. It's been such a stomp so far. What an impressive showing from YFP. And honestly, Doug, YFP, it's not like they're, God's gift on Ascent. Actually, quite the contrary. Yeah, they have a positive win rate. They're 16-11 on the map. And on the flip side, Oomfies is I think 7-2. Ought to be 7-3.
Yeah. Interesting here. Even look at Scary Shark's position on the minimap right now.
Yeah.
They're thinking through. They're checking probably every box you could think of right now. Making sure there was no early aggression through A main. Playing back for some of that, and yeah, Corrupt kind of falls there. But a trade back.
Yeah, there was another exchange of Sentinels in B main. So it will be numbers advantage for Oomfies. Drone's going to get a lot of info.
That's another nice shot. Harry's had a couple of those. A 1v3 in a position like this. Terror's weak. Terror's very, very weak. But again, that's twice now that we've seen Terror in very low HP situations still just brazenly swinging and taking the fight and winning it.
Yeah, and that's what YFP were set up for from the start of the round. The difference is the fights were taken in a much more defensive position, which is really good from the side of Oomfies. I feel like a lot of teams, when things aren't going their way, it's real easy to just be like, okay, like we got to make something happen. We got to force the fights. And that's why you saw Scary Shark sitting all the way back in T-spawn, holding that on top of that box, looking in A main. They were expecting some type of aggressive play. Some type of desperation.
Still 6 rounds to make up just to get to OT. for Oomfies. Marceline's been tagged.
Oh, that clone.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to stick on the wall right there, Doug.
Nope, that's a misfire. And so now Supercat can hold this angle a little bit more confidently. It's interesting for YFP in the lead that they have and the advantages they have. They're playing these final rounds, what would be the map winning round, with a lot of caution.
I think it's actually working against them as well, because
I would argue so as well.
yeah, Oomfies is just using crossfires on site, jiggling corners. I mean, in this round specifically, there was no Cypher utility at B whatsoever. Everything geared up towards A. Supercat's stuck right now.
There's a little bit of help. You got a crossfire with Terror. But the dash out to safety. And Supercat will live to fight another day.
And baiting out that grav net is huge now. That's not going to come through for the execute onto this A site. You have one of your own to answer with.
Is that going to connect? Nope. But there's plenty there. Don't get me wrong. Scary Shark's the first to fall. 10 seconds left on the round. It doesn't seem like the attack is going to be able to work their way out. So Oomfies will get another. They're going to carry all of these weapons into the next. And this map will go on.
Absolutely disgusting anchoring on that catwalk and carry.
Well, so much for the weapons.
Yeah, elaborate. We'll take out 2 rifles, but I was going to say the economy should be pretty decent for the defensive side, and it is, but you know, it's starting to get beat down slowly here. Will be another full buy for both sides. Here's that replay of the anchoring. Yeah, Avery got first contact there, but with the Hunter's Fury coming through as well, Carey was able to secure a 3K into the round.
Couple of ults here. Supercat one away from Blades. And and Avery both have theirs. And again, it's the slower pace. We saw a tone shift over these last couple of rounds. And again, Dre, I think you're right. This almost feels like it's hurting them more than it is helping them.
If it ain't broken, you don't gotta fix it, honestly.
That is what they say.
Pace, but I understand. I get it though. You know, you just want to close it out. You have a big buffer to work with. Play smart, condition things for later. All you need is one round, right? You're building up towards a bunch of ultimates here. Contact approach hasn't been working for you though.
No, and oftentimes it's the last round that's the hardest.
Yeah, especially on this attacking side. So the defense gets some confidence in their setups and their holds.
I mean, they're pushing into the teeth of this hit. There are 3 members here and a sound sensor and an Astra Star. And
doors closed as well. Don't have to worry about that market split.
The suck. All of it's there. They're going to try to brute force their way through anyway. Supercat dashing backside, trying to stay alive. Meanwhile, a couple of kills traded back and forth. Terror looking for an opportunistic window and finds it. Numbers away of the defense. Corrupt's going to get a really good timing, though. If you're not careful, and there it is. 13 seconds left. Those are going to be enough to convert that. That's a massive kill. But now it's just left on the other side. Corrupt upgrading a weapon. 7 seconds. Has to hit the shot right on time, but there's no chance now. He might get a couple of kills to make it look cool, but the clock hits 0, and that's another round for Oomfies.
A bit of overcooking from YFP, honestly, Doug. It's just what we've been talking about, the slow play, and then when the actual execs have been coming through, it's just uncoordinated. So now, you know, I know we were gassing YFP up a lot, and it's really easy to say a team is looking very comprehensive on a composition when you got 2 players sitting at almost 30 apiece.
Right.
But now we're starting to see the cracks in the armor and the lack of maybe reps or something else.
I hesitate to say that this is comp related though. I think, you know, we've talked about this a little bit. It feels like they're slowing down, but this time they've invested a lot. The wall goes back, Marceline's ult goes in, and it's going to be comboed with the Sovolt. Looking for a tag. One found. That's a big one too. How much more space can Elaborate find? Supercat's backside. All for the dash. The kill comes through. 1 for 1 though. Avery and Supercat, the only 2 that remain, and it's Supercat against the world on B. Avery so far away. How do you survive this? 18 HP left, and it's all buying time. Corrupt's not much better off. Not able to connect. Great, we have a game on our hands.
It's 12-9, Doug. Supercat is popping off back sight. So patient on those shots. Not freaking out when Elaborate was just wide swinging. Not freaking out when Melia is crouch spamming. It's insane what we've witnessed so far. But it's not coordinated. You're seeing members just getting picked off left and right. You have a player on site, a player stairs, 2 players in boat still. It's not coordinated enough to get rid of these members that are just anchoring the back of B.
Seeing some of the struggles of the attack side of Ascent. But as we've said, they just need one. But that one is often the hardest one.
And especially the way that everything's been happening, you're investing your ultimates and not converting the rounds. Now you look at the ult economy, and Oomfies are suddenly in a position where, I mean, it could be a real thing to make this comeback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a whole lot more than just the possibility of it at this point.
Wow.
That's another one down.
Perfect timing on that Deadlock ultimate as well. And Super Cat and Carry and Terra just flooding the kill feed, Doug. Oh my gosh, that was coordination.
People talk about 9-3 curse and this, that, and the other. Yeah, this timeout feels about 2 rounds late. This is, I mean, we're watching an entirely different approach here, an entirely different, you know, you mentioned swagger in the first half. The swagger's all on the side of Oomfies now.
Yeah, and the difference is, though, it's not Oomfies, you know, pushing B main, getting deep, aggressive picks, you know, taking the fight to YFP. It's really relying on the teamwork. That's where the swagger's been. It's been a whole team effort right now from the side of Oomfies to bring this one back to, what, within 2 rounds now? It's been awesome to watch. You know, like the coordination on that last round, it was a 3-pronged approach. A player in market, a player in CT that used the Deadlock ultimate carry, and then you had Supercat who actually gave that lane area, updrafted back on as everybody else was fighting at the same time. It looks like a awesome team effort right now from the side of Oomfies to make this comeback.
And they've gotten close. We mentioned, you know, they still have 6 rounds to go, and that 6 is quickly evaporated. They're just now 2 rounds away from tying this thing up and sending us to OT.
This goes here.
It couldn't have been such a different story. You know, the success of YFP on the defense was 2 players just absolutely rinsing the entire server. Oomfies on this defense, it's just been team play.
YFP with a lot of presence towards A. Spike not in hand. The buy not great. But again, the Thrifties can prove to be the most dangerous ones. Interesting here with all of this money in hand that Oomfies is not investing in op.
I think Supercat has just been popping off, anchoring his B site with the rifle.
Yeah.
Sometimes comfortability is just the answer that you need.
Yeah, sure.
You don't want to be in that spot where you whiff the op shot because you haven't used it all half long, and you know that's the round that YFP close out the game with.
This is interesting here. There's not enough misdirection on the map for Oomfies to believe that this is not a hit A. The sound sensor was still up mid, B was still covered, and so they're able to hold the line again on A.
Spike
There was nothing to make them believe that that's not where the hit was going.
Oh my goodness, Doug. You're 100% correct, yeah. The Oomfies had that set up from the start of the round, and there was an early lean towards A side as well for Carry, who dropped the deadlock wall in bottom mid, but the double trip setup and just finessing around the smoke, Avery played that so well. A lot of players in rank that I see would just try to run into that smoke as the hit's coming, but to have the patience to just finesse on the outside of it, not worried about your dart because you know your teammate's going to shoot it for you, and then get a conversion off of the trip that was on switch. Oh my goodness, that's a really high IQ gameplay right there from the side of Avery.
Oomfies have gotten to the finish line, but they have not crossed it yet. Meanwhile, YFP have been waiting here for a little while. They just need one round to send us to Icebox.
I can't believe it, Doug. They've only needed one round for like 10 rounds.
Yeah. And they convert here. Corrupt has an ult. Elaborate does as well.
Actually breaking that wall. I think this might be one of the first times that YFP has defaulted to break the deadlock wall. This could be the answer for YFP to finally close out the map. Spread the defenses thin. Still a lot to deal with, though. You got 2 trips on A. You have a trip watching B main. And you missed your wall.
That's tough.
Yeah, and right now, if I'm carry, I'm understanding that wall was meant for CT. It's most likely going to be an A hit.
And all the trips are here. All of the utilities here. The Astra Stars. The Cypher trips. The ult doesn't hit. They may not make their way out, Trey. They're trying, but they're all being funneled in. Panda's able to get 2 so far. Meanwhile, Avery and Terra get the last few. What a ridiculous comeback. We're going to OT.
I don't know what it is, Doug, with me and you casting Ascent games and comebacks. But my goodness, Oomfies just did that thing, and they did it together. That's the key difference here. It was a whole team effort, Doug. What a sight to see. The trips got so much value from the side of Oomfies on this defensive side. And it wasn't even the deadlock trips. It was the Cypher trips.
Yeah. They never made it out of tree there.
The shock's just not quite hitting the mark. There was a shock into that round from Melia that connected onto A main, but that door trip is too much.
Over there. Caution here.
And so into extra Valorant we go. An op for Marceline. Holding the middle of the map. This feels like forever ago. But we saw just how deadly Marceline can be with this weapon.
It's just absolute madness.
Take flight.
Thing is, Oomfies kind of beat that timing. Carry did get spammed out in B main.
They're trapped here. That's a hard miss.
The right play, but sometimes the execution is just lacking, and now the numbers game is even.
I mean, Marceline knew there was a timing window. They knew that the cage, or that the wall was up, and they hadn't gotten out of Cat. So she knew they were there, just not able to hit the shot.
Yeah, it was 100% the correct play.
Yeah, I agree.
Oomfies. Ande's going to be a distraction in mid. Wins the head-to-head, but it's an A execute that's coming out.
Trey, this feels like all momentum is way Oomfies right now. I don't know how they respond from this, but again, in the face of momentum rising, YFP's able to punch back. A Panda's left in a 1v2. And the spike is so far away. Trying to rotate over. The one benefit is you're able to isolate these into 1v1s. You got to win this fight, though, and you kind of have to do it fast because there's more threat on the other side. Melia is coming. There's the first spotted. Trying to tuck behind the wall and scoop up the spike, but now the most difficult part of the situation. YFP take the lead again.
And just when we're in doubt, Corrupt pop it off, getting the 3K. Finally breaking that 30 mark in OT. Nevertheless, that anchoring, even though she was fully stunned, she settled. Such a good anchor, all defense long. Corrupt has played both sides, honestly immaculate.
Now we just need to see Corrupt play both sides immaculately, and
right,
YFP might be able to get through this.
He might be able to finish. Oh, look at this little cheeky set play. Gonna be a dash play off of the drone with the shorty. I've never seen that one before, honestly. And I honestly, there's been some crazy things that have happened with Jet players in the past.
Here. See the first sound sensor. They know it's there. Make no noise. They decide to clear it out.
Interesting. Smoke for door this time. That's a walk-up market, but that grab net, it was perfect, Doug.
And again, the spam. There's a little bit of threat here, though. Scary Shark's on the other side of the smoke. But does Scary Shark know that Avery is tucked into wine? Avery's going to win the round. It's not going to get cleared. Avery's going to get them all. Only one found, and now repositioning, reloading. There's a second, third on the round for Avery.
Avery.
We go again.
Avery has been holding this A site down. Like such high IQ gameplay. The way that she's been finessing around these smokes, taking a main space, creeping into wine, and not just jumping the gun and trying to rush into sight, making audible footsteps. Understanding that she's in a round-winning position each time. It's honestly such a pleasure to watch. I love it. I absolutely love what we're seeing right now from both sides.
Avery's been ridiculous. I mean, you're right. These last couple of rounds have been insane.
Just gotta praise both teams. This has been such a battle.
Marceline again with the op and OT, no armor. So down to 43 HP. Those shocks don't feel good.
5-person grab net.
Again. You're starting to see him go through. There's a little bit of a gap through the wall. It looks like, wait, actually not. They're going to have to try to funnel back into spawn if they want to get through this. Marceline's able to get one with the op. 3 HP left. I mean, almost as bad as it was at the beginning of the round. Elaborate falls. Not landing the shot, and that's going to provide safe passage for Oomfies to get through.
Not quite hitting the mark with that deadlock trip, but it can be used to help yourself out now. Still a wall blocking Marceline off in CT.
Yeah. And it's all, yeah. What? I mean, this is concerning, Dre, because now this feels like the first time this map that I genuinely feel like there's a really good chance Oomfies closes it out here.
Yeah.
Being able to find success on attack is, I mean, that's almost the dagger.
It's so hard. And what it came down to was a 1v1 of ciphers. It was Panday versus Elaborate. But Panday had a great series with lurks, entries, everything yesterday. Bringing that here and just making a statement in the head-to-head, the Senti head-to-head. Sometimes that's just enough to bring you over the edge in moments like this in tournaments. And honestly, this is elimination on the line, right? Everything's at stake.
Well, I mean, and two, like mentally, if you're YFP here, this one got away from you.
Yeah, you're
how do you ignore that in the back of your head for this last round of OT?
It's so hard. You're definitely beating yourself up because you feel like you should have closed this one out.
Yep.
What, 4 halves ago?
Yep. You've played enough Valorant in a winning position that you could live a couple of lifetimes. Paranoia is through, the deep walls back. But again, there's a lot of presence here. 3 members of the defense, and they're going to try to push their way in anyway. Most of the attack is here, but again, Carrie's playing their position beautifully. Melia's down, so's the rest of YFP. What a response from Oomfies. They were down and they were dead. But to win in OT is really freaking impressive, man.
What a response. What a comeback. What a job well done. Oh my goodness, Doug. This is how the series starts off? Are you kidding me? And of course, it's on
Icebox.
Yeah, Icebox, a map that neither team has really played at all. Oomfies definitely never played at all. And for the side of YFP, the last time they played it was February this year. I mean, this is insanity.
Yeah, we're in for a mess to close out the rest of this series. We're going to throw it to a break. We'll see you guys on the other side.